All right, this weekend you have former IBF Cruiserweight champion, now former IBF Cruiserweight champion, Jai Opetaia, who's going to be returning against Ellis Zorro. And to jump right into it, he's recently vacated his title because of the fighter he's fighting, Ellis Zorro, is not ranked. However, I feel that there could be another reason, and maybe that Mairis Briedis wanted some type of step aside money, or wanted to fight him on the Saudi card as well. I just think it's more money motivated to keep it short. But let's play this brief clip here from Ben Damon over at Main Event Fox Sports over in Australia when he interviewed Jai Opetaia after he vacated his belt. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360, and we got Big J on the line as well.
Well, they've really left me with no choice. You know what I mean? This is a massive card that I can't say no to. So they've stripped me, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? They can do what they want. I'll get the belts back. You know, all they've got to do is train hard, keep winning, and they'll come back to me.
But how does it feel having to give it back? Because I know what it means to you to be a world champion.
Yeah, it's bullshit. You know, it's not right, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're not going to sit here and sulk. We're going to get a job done on the 23rd of December. And then when that one's done, we're going to get another job done. And we continue to do that. And then the belt will come back. They have to.
I think it's some bullshit. Especially when we see what went on with Errol Spence holding on to the IBF title for 4 years without a mandatory for whatever reasons. But that's a whole different video. But Big J, your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, the IBF over the last couple of months have done some really outlandish shit. I mean, they stripped Crawford for absolutely no reason, right? They're pretty much stripping Jai because Briedis has kicked up a stink. And Briedis is a pain in the ass. The guy's a fucking weirdo. Yeah, but he's kicked up a stink because he wants some step-aside money, or we're alleging that he wanted step-aside money. But yeah, I mean, what the IBF has done over the last little bit, over the last 12 months, has just been very unusual for them. I mean, they let Charlo, right? They allowed Jamel Charlo, what was his name? Bakram Mutazaliev, to have 3 and 4 step-aside agreements. So, you know, he was mandatory for 4 years. So they wouldn't strip Charlo, but they stripped Jai after about 3 seconds. So they're being extremely inconsistent.
Yeah, here's what Briedis had to say. He said, Australian Jai Opetaia has not agreed to the IBF's demand that he will fight me as mandatory challenger and has given up his title. My next fight is planned to be against the Mexican Gilberto Ramirez, which could take place in the month of February. I like that fight.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because Jai could easily take care of the Zorro bloke and fight Briedis in February anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. They could have did it in February, but that's why I just don't think it's just the IBF because, you know, we kind of seen the same situation happen with the WBO on how No Limit was pushing the WBO for that Charlo fight, which they haven't gotten, but they got the belt. My gut, and I'm theorizing that it was Briedis' team that either they wanted a step aside agreement, wanted to be on the Saudi card, and they were just overall salty. Because, you know, Jai Opetaia was getting his career high payday more than he got to fight Briedis, and they wanted a taste. That's what I'm getting from it. So they said, all right, you're not going to fight us? You know what? And we're not getting none of the Saudi money? Fuck you. Fight us or vacate the title.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine Jai wouldn't have got much to get to fight Briedis in Australia. That probably would have been maybe, 100 grand, if that? So he's getting what? What's he getting? I've heard 635. What have you heard?
I haven't been able to find an accurate number. But that's still a lot of money.
I've seen reports around 635.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can buy a house with that in this country, depending on what part of the country you live in.
And then also the other factor is, you know, you don't want to piss off the Saudis. You know, the disrespect of pulling off of their card because of a sanctioning body where they're paying you all of this money. You know, you want to stay in their good graces.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And as Jai said, he can circle around and get the belt again after
Mhm.
Briedis. If he wins it back, I mean, this Mexican bloke might beat him. So
Yeah, I'm not
who
looking at
knows?
Elizaro as being too good, but then you never know in boxing these days. 17-0 with 7 KOs, 31 years old, from the United Kingdom. On his resume, I see nobody of note that I've actually heard of before. I have seen him fight before, but just off of the top of my head, in passing, I'm not sitting there watching these UK cards midday here in the States, studying an Elizaro. But just straight off the top of my head, I am going to pick Jai Opetaia to win, and I'm guessing if Opetaia wins and Briedis goes on to beat, because we're still kind of in the same timeline a little bit, since this, pretty much, we're halfway through December. So I'm guessing we could possibly see a rematch. Hopefully they can get it done in the summer if both fighters don't take too much damage. And then Jai can going to be a two-time champion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully they can get the rematch done. I don't think it'll be in Australia again. They'll probably. Where does Briedis normally fight? Because he doesn't fight in his home
Latvia.
country.
Where does Briedis
Latvia.
normally fight? Yeah, but no, I think he usually. Let me look real quick. I'm pretty sure.
I think he's had.
Germany. I want to say Germany.
No, I think he's had a lot of fights in his home country.
He has.
Just
Yeah,
not
he has.
recently.
Yes, he has. And then Russia. Couple fights
Russia,
in Germany.
yep. Well,
So yeah, he but mostly in his country, between his country and Germany. Germany, and the UK.
Yep. That makes sense. Well, it depends. I mean, if they get the rematch, they'll probably happen in the UK. I mean, if Eddie's promoting it, it'll happen in the UK. Which wouldn't. I mean, if an Australian's going to fight, I don't see the rematch happening in Australia. That it might, but I don't know. I mean, it'll certainly be a good opportunity for Eddie to try and crack the Australian market again after the bloody abysmal show he put on last. Was that last year? Holy shit! Was that a year ago?
Yeah.
That was, yeah. Well, it'll certainly give Eddie a chance to try to crack the Australian market with Jai, with a major world title on the line in a rematch. So that'll certainly give Matchroom more of a more of an opportunity to break into the Australian market.
Yeah, but also it's also going to depend on if Gilberto Ramirez wants to fight or if they're in actual negotiations to make the fight. Because right now they're just the next two contenders, Briedis and Ramirez. But the way Briedis is talking is that they're planning on it to happen in February.
Well, yep, the quicker the better.
But also who does Jai fight? Does he stay out until next summer, or does he try to get back in there and possibly try to collect another title from another sanctioning bodies? Because who knows, he could be bitter. He can say, you know what, I'll go after the WBC, because he can beat, as we talked about, he can beat all of those guys. He can beat Noel. I forgot the guy named Gaver, the guy who won the WBC title. I covered that fight. He can beat, from what I've seen, Ursula Gudemarian and Chris Billum Smith. The Chris Billum Smith, that fight has politics with it, but the other two fights, the WBC and the WBA, doesn't have as many politics, if not any, that he could possibly fight for one of those titles and circle back around to Briedis or Ramirez for unification. Because let's face it, either of those guys right now, they're not going to the heavyweight division. So they're staying where they are.
Yeah, definitely. I think politically the easiest one to go after would be the WBC.
Yeah, I think that's the right to go.
I don't know
and it's the most prestigious of the belts, so,
And I don't think Arsene Gumilian, not quite sure what he's doing, but I seriously doubt he would come to Australia for a fight. He has fought an Australian in the past. I think it was in 2019. He fought Kane Watts.
If I'm being honest,
sure
I think that Jai is done with Australia. If I'm being honest, from the looks of things.
And
they're trying to take him global.
That's really disappointing because Jai is such a talent. He's easily the pound for pound #1 fighter from Australia. And then he goes overseas. I mean, I don't like it when these Aussie fighters piss off overseas. I mean, if the opportunity's there, it's fine, but fight in your own country. I mean, it's never been. People have always said, "Oh, Australians need to go overseas." That's never been the case. Jeff Fettergully fought once overseas.
I mean,
he had 95% of his career was in Australia. So Australian boxers have never had to go overseas, really. Right?
I mean, look
I
at
don't understand
what's happened
I
with
don't understand what the
Joe Parker.
sorry.
Look what happened with Joe Parker. I mean, he pretty much relocated over to from New Zealand over to the UK.
To the UK.
You know,
Yeah.
since
I mean,
since 2019, he's only had he's fought in Auckland and then Melbourne. Okay, all right, you know, Australia. But for the most part, 2 fights United States and 4 fights in the UK. And then his
yeah,
last
but New Zealand.
and then these 2 fights against his last 2 fights. Well, Wilder fights in Saudi Arabia. Last fight was in Saudi Arabia as well. So pretty much he like once he hit the world stage, he went. You know, once
Yeah,
he,
I can understand. But New Zealand boxing, Australian boxing is small. New Zealand boxing is even smaller.
Yeah, yeah.
New Zealand boxing, I've told this before. New Zealand boxing is very, very tiny, very, very tiny. They play union over there. That's their national sport is rugby union. They don't give a rat's ass about boxing. All they care about is union because they're extremely good at it. I think they've won another world title about a couple of months ago. So, yeah, New Zealanders don't really care about boxing. They love their union, which is fine. That's what they're good at. They constantly kick the shit out of Australia. We haven't won a Bledisloe Cup for 30 fucking years. So, but yeah, very, very small market for boxing in New Zealand. Extremely small market. So,
well,
but no.
we're going to be here on. Let me see if I can find the running order for this. I believe.
I'm pretty sure Jai's a kickoff match.
I think so. I think he's the second. I think it's going to be Frank Sanchez and Junior Fa first.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep. So they actually, is that the pay per view or are they on one of those prelim?
No, it's going to be all pay per view.
No.
Yeah, it's going to be all pay per view. So he's going to kick off. Let me just read the card off to people. So, amazing card. You got Frank Sanchez taking on Junior Fa. Felix Hergovich taking on Mark Demore. Urslanbek Makhmudov taking on Edric Cabiel, Jai Opetaia, Elizoro, Daniel Dubois, Gerald Miller, Dimitri Bivol, Lyndon Arthur, Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, and Anthony Joshua Adewale. Here in the States, that pay-per-view is only $40. Let me see how much it is on the main event for you guys. I hope they don't know in Australia. They're probably going to try to jack it up for you guys and have you guys paying an arm and
Nah, it'd be $30 if that.
$50.
Really?
I'm looking at it right now. You have to charge you guys $50 for that shit, man. Like always skimming off the top.
Yeah, well, main event does that all the time. So
yeah, but it's $40 all over the world, and they charge you guys $50. That's disgraceful. That's a smack in the face.
Well, yeah, you're preaching to the choir there, brother. I mean, it is. I mean, as I said,
at least
they
you're
charge
not. I
you
mean,
$60 for.
Yeah, for Nikita Zoo, you're paying $60 for.
We're paying $60 for a fucking glorified club shot.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, you know, they gave you a little discount. I mean, closing thoughts.
No, Jai should smack the living daylights out of the Zorro bloke. Then hopefully, well, I mean, at worst comes to worst, he could fight Briedis in a rematch in February if they don't get the fight made between himself and what's old mate's name?
Gilberto Ramirez.
The other guy?
Zurdo Ramirez.
Gilberto Ramirez. And it doesn't matter because Jai would just beat bloody Briedis again anyway. So it's only a matter of time before Jai becomes the undisputed champion at cruiserweight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is there ever? So, you know, that's going to be something that's never happened in Australian boxing. So hopefully he goes after the WBC belt next. If he can't get the rematch done with Briedis. And then he'll just collect that. He'll just have to do it the long way. And just pick up one belt after the other. So I think the Chris belt, the WBA is going to be the worst one to obtain, without a doubt. That's a political friggin' nightmare.
Yeah, it is. It's a nightmare with that. We've already seen it with the Richard Riakporhe fight that they tried to make.
Yeah, that Richard Riakporhe, he was a silly fucker. Why the fuck would you turn down a bloody world title fight? That was stupid.
Did
he actually get a shot?
I don't think he could have taken the fight because of the broadcast deal. That's that political bullshit that has nothing to do with the fans. That's just the bullshit that they're on.
Did Richard Radford just fight Chris Smith recently? Did that happen like a month ago or something?
No, Richard Riakporhe fought. I forgot who he fought. I covered that fight. I forgot. But well, it wasn't nothing of note. I think it was Michael Cieslak. That's who he fought. And then Chris Smith had fought Masternak.
That's it, Masternak. Yeah, he was the other bloke that turned Jai down. I can't believe these buggers are turning Jai down, but same story because they were a boxer in Sky Sports, weren't they? That was the reason.
Yeah. All right, we're going to be here on after the Jai Opetaia fight, covering the fight, even if it is just a brief video, just to follow what's going on, listen to his post-fight interview, and we'll have a better understanding of where he's going to be going next. If he's basically going to be pissed off at the IBF and be like, you know what, I'll come back around and I'm going to go after the WBC or the WBA title. The WBO, you can pretty much, like, that's we're not going to talk about that. They got their own plan. But take your time out, like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy, and Big J at Old Mate Big J. See you guys this Saturday at after the Day of Reckoning pay-per-view, and this fight, Opetaia versus Elizoro. Thanks for watching.